So I had another precognitive dream come true about a week ago, and as usual, I was surprised when it happened because I have not been meditating hardly at all summer because I've been working outside a lot, and this is the yang energy part of the year, so just been getting energy from the sun instead of meditating. Um, and eating green food stuff, fruit, stuff like that. But once it once we go into the yin part of the year, then I'll start meditating more. But precognitive dreams are covered by Christina Donnell. She's a Ph.D. psychologist who has a practice in Minneapolis, and she has a Substack that I subscribe to. She doesn't talk about precognitive dreams like directly. She's just talking about the experience of non-dualism, and she writes in a poetic style, and it's really beautiful writing. She self-publishes books, but when I have precognitive dreams, I've had about like six of them come true this year, which really surprised me because I had cut down on my meditation a lot over the past year. I was doing like minimal meditation. But when we think about like serious meditation and the kind of like spiritual or paranormal results, this these this is like discussed very rarely on the internet because first of all you have to have celibacy and purification of both the mind and the body, and I only did this for a few months when I was 29 years old, and I fasted for a week, and I was taking classes from the qigong master. And now if you want to spend 5 days or 4 days with the qigong master, it's going to cost you like $3,000 plus hotel. This is his latest qigong healing conference he's giving, and most people don't have that kind of money. So I was really lucky when I experienced them 25 years ago, and I probably spent $3,000 in total over 10 years or something. But let's see, so when you really meditate seriously, I experienced a really strong like magnetic force from the center of my brain, and my whole body filled up with this strong magnetic force. And then I experienced telepathy coming out of the center of my brain, and interacting with the people around me. And I had a friend, I was sitting with a friend at the time, and he was across the table in a cafe, and he said, all of a sudden, I'm looking at him, he's just like, I can feel this energy coming out of my brain, and I didn't say anything because I was surprised, and he's just like, what are you doing to me? That's what he said. um, the the let's see. Like maybe about 6 years later, I experienced telekinesis, and that was only when I was stored up the energy because I was working at night alone, and it was in the winter time, so I was meditating. I was able to store up my energy. Um, but that didn't last because I had a coworker then come in to work just with me, even though she worked during the day, but she wanted to be with me apparently. After a while, I'm like, I'm gonna tell that you're coming back into work. She's like, don't tell anybody. Um, what else? then there's yeah, that's the whole tantra thing, that's part of it. And, so telekinesis, telepathy, then the psychic tantra, which I dubbed the O-E-D, and the qigong master, when they found out about that, they're like, "Well, that's" Trini Lin said, "Well, it's great that you can do that, but as long as as long as you experience that kind of bliss with like as long as other people have bliss from your energy is always going to be weak." I'm like, "Yeah. Yeah, I know." Um so when I had precognitive dreams, that's why I was surprised because I'm like, yeah, my energy is weak, but I'm still having precognitive dreams. But when you read Olivia Costa de Beauregard, he explains that precognitive dreams are the foundation of reality, like precognitive information. And Sir Roger Penrose even says this also. He talks about precognition. He says that like pianists would have precognition because they have to consciously decide what a note will be like, whether it will be loud or soft or staccato or legato. And that's something I could relate to because I had trained in piano, in classical piano for a dozen years. I mean, I wasn't good, but I did do a concert by memory, classical concert by memory, and survived. I should get a T-shirt that says "I survived my classical concert by memory." But anyway, yeah. So that's like my whole research is about the music and what makes music different in terms of your perception and how that's connected to meditation. And let's see here. So I think yeah, once you do have the third eye opened up, then you're gonna probably have precognitive experiences more often if you do meditate. Um, experience the full moon energy. You can feel it strong, whether you meditate or not. You feel like this magnetic bliss. And uh, one of the qigong masters, he calls it my energy blockage in my brain because for him, he just experienced light, you know, from the Shen. But then he had a medical emergency um, that he's recovering from. So it kind of surprised me because it's like, okay, even if you have your third eye fully open and you can heal other people, you can still get a medical emergency. And it just proves that biologically, our bodies are super complex, super sophisticated, and it's really hard to control the energy. It's actually easier to like send out the energy than to contain it in your own body and store it up. The energy is inherently not defined by space, but it's more like a time definition. And I think that's why the precognitive dreams are, when you think about it, like this is the whole point of the quantum non-local force is it's before space-time and before matter exists. And so when you have precognitive dreams, that's just a way of reminding you that the source of our reality is in this like fifth dimension that's before matter and space-time, because it's very trippy. It's like, well, how can the future already exist? Um, but when you realize that there's this level of reality that has the future and the past overlapping, and it's not based on your ego, it's based on this information that's not your own. It's like your soul energy is literally the universe energy, the universe's information. You can be religious about it if you want. And I'm kind of coming to terms with the fact that I did have a religious upbringing, even though I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like it was religious because I didn't, I like lived within it. Um, but yeah, I was just listening to my grandfather's hobo times when he was in the 1920s, and he was able to get food to survive because he explained that he was a minister's son. He was the son of a preacher, a preacher's son, and people respect that more, and he probably he probably was able to beg more for food and clothing and stuff when he was a hobo and when he was 18 years old because that's what his dad did as a preacher. You have to rely on donations and helping other people out if you have extra money or whatever. It's just more of a, I don't know if you want to call it socialist or whatever. um, but anyway, yeah, that was fun listening to my grandpa's tapes that he made in the 1980s with my mom. From his time in the 1920s when he was 18 and he was a hobo on the freight trains and he got in a shootout in Mexico or he didn't have any guns, but the people he was with had guns, or maybe he did have guns, but I don't think he used them. But I don't know. His friend got shot, and they had to leave him at the hospital, and they weren't sure he was going to recover, and they left. It's pretty intense. And then he also got put into forced labor for being a hobo for a month, and he refused to work, and they put him in the dark hole where he couldn't move. He couldn't for 24 hours. He couldn't sit down and just had to go to the bathroom on himself. So then he, built the road, and they got off for good time after 25 days of hard labor, like with the pickaxe and shovel and all that. They did get one day off a week, or actually 2 days. They got the weekend off, so it's 5 days of road work. Yeah. Then he built up his own business after that. He just kept working and got trained to start a really successful business. That business is still going today, so pretty impressive. But anyway, the um the whole meditation thing, obviously it completely goes against Western modern reality because we're very materialistic, from Platonic philosophy and modern science and materialistic ideology, Freemasonry. Um, my grandfather was a high level Freemason in his city, his town, and so was his wife and my mom. I mean, she was raised in that, but yeah, but if you read David F. Noble, it's like our whole culture is based on this materialistic, what they call materialistic idealism, which is what Platonic philosophy is, irrational magnitude, and this idea that you can use geometry to capture an eternal present in that doesn't move. It's a static um, truth in geometry, and that's exactly the opposite of meditation. Because the truth of Taoism is that you have this eternal motion, and reality is inherently alive. And so the precognitive dreams are based on, it has to be through your heart. That's like the heart is like the secret pinhole to the universe, what Ramana Maharshi calls the secret pinhole, to the formless awareness of the universe. So when you have precognitive dreams, it's always like this through the sense of love, through the heart. And in the West, we're supposed to be like, oh, you're not supposed to be emotional. Like emotions are weak, but um the fact is that meditation is based on logic. It's based on logical inference, and that's exactly why it's so difficult because, like, if you read the book Taoist Yoga, Alchemy, and Immortality, they talk about the heart, the passions of the heart, like love as based on lust. You know, it has to be. It doesn't. It has to be non-existent, and and the problem is the more you meditate, the more you're basically like storing up that libido, and then it's easy to have that get reversed out of you, you know, obviously both mentally and physically. And so unless you can store up that energy, and so that's kind of based on patriarchy, because like traditionally the males were hunters and they'd go off alone for in the training they'd go off a month, and that was called tashoma in the San Bushman culture, tashoma training, and to build up the energy. And then every time they went hunting, they would leave the females for 3 nights in order to store up their energy. And then they used the num to attract the animals that they hunted. So it's very like it was like interwoven, you know, as it was their reality as part of their hunting culture. And you think, and that's the culture that spread around the world. You know, this like they're always wondering, well, what made humans so successful? Um, and of course, modern scientists, they don't know anything about gum force or whatever. So, um, and then of course, like psychedelic plants, DMT based plants, obviously are a big catalyst for the training to open up the third eye. But if you even look at the Amazon culture, it's like, well, they still rely on celibacy and a special diet and fasting, you know, along with the DMT to really become like a shaman. So you can see where that San Bushman training is still there originally from 225,000 years ago and split into the pygmy culture. I got to get some water, so stop like just ranting about whatever. But yeah, there's the yeah, the precognitive dreams are a trip because like right as I speak right now, it's like I do not expect to have any more because I haven't been meditating much, and that's why when I had one like a week ago come true, then you know, I was basically shocked. I'm like, really? Because I, you know, I've barely been meditating for the past couple of years. I've been doing like minimal meditation. So when I had these precognitive dreams, they were probably like a few years ahead of time. And I know I definitely had a precognitive dream come true 3 years later because I wrote it down in a journal. That was the very first one I had that I know of, 1995. So basically like 30 years ago.